YouTube. So this is property number 4. Leaves are starting to fall like crazy. It is the last day of September today, but I think in this video I'll title it 3 things that I'm going to change for 2026, or 3 things that pretty much 3 things that I'm already considering changing for 2026. Obviously these things didn't work, or things that will help me improve my business as I continue to grow. And for the people that haven't been following me, pretty much I think I'm still a small lawn care provider. This would be my 4th year doing this, but technically it's my 2nd year doing this full time. The first 2 years I was juggling my real-time job with this, and then eventually I got to the point where I am now, where I was able to leave my job last year to do this full time. And zero experience in this field. Pretty much I own a couple rental properties. I used to go out there and cut the grass, and I just kind of like fell in love with it. And I know it may sound weird or strange to some people, like, what do you mean you fell in love with cutting grass? It's just, I don't know if it's a guy thing or not, but for me, I don't know, maybe some of y'all can relate to me. For me, it just felt therapeutic to like be out here in nature, just put on some headphones, listen to a podcast or to music, and really just be one with nature. And I mean, where I'm at, just how beautiful and surreal does this feel, especially from coming from like a big city back in California. This is Georgia. But I instantly just fell in love with just the peace of mind that came with it. And then obviously the money. But right off the bat, the first thing I'm going to do, and that I already started doing this year, but it's going to transition to next year. First things first is I am no longer billing per service. And pretty much what I'm doing right now, or what I'm telling my clients is that I bill at the beginning of the month. And I do think I'll probably start having their credit cards on file. I know to some people or to like some clients, it'll be a red flag. Pretty much saying like, I don't want you to have my card on file. So I'm still on the fence, but regardless, I'm going to be charging my future clients even before we show up. And then pretty much what I'm telling them now is like, hey, that secures you a spot in my schedule. I bill at the beginning of the month. And then I'm still on the fence if I want to keep their card on file or not, just because I do think it will steer a lot of people away. But the people that it does not steer away, they're serious. They want a reliable, long-term lawn care provider. So it'll be a win-win where, for me, luckily, I don't do any more advertising. So all the calls that I get are just from my Google page or recommendations. So since they're reaching out to me, it's easy for me to be like, hey, I'll take you on, but these are my terms, opposed to like if I'm knocking on their door. And when I was starting off, I was a little bit desperate for the work. So I was constantly kind of like getting the feel of them, be like, oh, what do you want to do? And kind of let them kind of like pick and dictate and obviously run my business for me. And then I quickly learned that you can't do that, or else you're going to go out of business, because at the end of the day, people are really looking out for themselves. Not all of them, but I would say a good chunk of them will say like, oh, I want you to come out every 3 weeks, bill me per visit. And as you continue to grow, or what I figured out or learn is that as I'm growing, these things are not sustainable in the long run. So first things first is bill at the beginning of the month. Maybe I'll have their card on file, but what I'm doing right now is that I just pretty much like right before the end of the month or the new month starts, like a couple days, I'll send the invoice for the next month, and I'll give them like 3 or 4 days for them to pretty much pay their invoice. And I've had no issues with that. And then that way the client doesn't feel like they're trapped in a contract, or they feel more, I guess, safe knowing that I don't have their credit card information. So we're done. This one takes us like 20 minutes. But number 2, something that I'm also going to do for 2026 is, I guess it goes hand to hand, is get rid of the clients that really don't make sense. Meaning, again, it goes back to when I first started off, I was lowballing myself because I was just hungry, and ultimately I just wanted the work. Because how I thought about it was, well, I can kind of lowball everyone else, or underbid or underquote everyone else, and ultimately land the job, or I can, be aggressive and be, I guess, average or be on the higher end, and then ultimately not get the job. And just because I didn't really have the experience and the knowledge, that's the main reason why I lowball myself. Because for me, it kind of like made sense. Like, well, I'm charging you less, but I mean, I didn't tell them, but I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing. And a few of those clients, including this one, I've kind of kept. I've had her for this is the second year, so 2 years, 2 seasons. Um, and what I'm charging her. If I want to grow, I need to increase the prices or let go of these clients where I kind of like shot myself in the foot because I was just kind of like desperate for the job. And now I'm in the point where I can be more selective on who I want to take on as a client. And again, it's just as I grow. Now, she's been a very loyal client, no issues, always pays on time. So, at some point you do have to get rid of these feelings and emotions, and kind of look at the numbers, be like, okay, like, if I want to continue growing, and my main goal for next year would be to get Jacob on a salary where he's not worrying or stressing out come winter when we're not working that much. I've said this before, where I want him to get paid all year round the same. And, the trade-off is spring and summer during the growing season. Yes, he's working much more longer hours and harder, but the flip side is come November through February, even like the beginning of March, like we're not really working that much. So that would be the trade-off. And if I want to get there, and of course as I keep growing, I want to offer dental, health insurance, 401k, what other companies do, because I do want to set my employees, or right now him, up for success. I cannot do that if I keep these clients where pretty much I'm not losing money, but the amount of money that I'm making is very low, where it just doesn't make sense for me to come out. So it's kind of like not necessarily get rid of these clients, but give them the option, and just explain to them, like, due to inflation, business expenses, as we continue to grow, I need to increase her prices by $10-15, and then it'll be up to her if she wants to keep me. If she does not want to keep me, then it is what it is. But we'll end in good terms where I'm not going to do it right during this, during the busy season where she needs someone. I'm going to do it right before the season starts. I'll be sending out those messages and explaining it to them, and just try to have them see it from my point of view, where it's like, this needs to be done in order for me to keep growing. If not, these accounts will ultimately make me go out of business. And like I said, it's just part of it. I know what needs to be done to keep growing. And does it suck? Yes, it sucks. Do I want to have these conversations with them? No, but I know it's needed. And lastly, the last thing I'm gonna try to really focus on or implement for next year is the route density. Just because I am still driving a good bit. Like, I'm still driving like 15-20 minutes once for 1 yard, and then 15-20 minutes for the other yard. So come winter, of course, I'm going to have a lot of time in my hand. I'm going to sit down and really look at my routes and see, okay, try to get them as consolidated and packed as I possibly can, because obviously the less we're driving, the more money the business is making. And then, that's the only way you're going to keep growing, unfortunately, in this industry, is how many yards can we get in a day, but also switch over to like quality over quantity. For the previous, for the past couple of years, I've been just focusing on quantity. Now now I'm going to be focusing on quality over quantity, where I'm going to be more aggressive with my prices, and then at the same time focus on my route density. And that's how I'm going to continue growing. and yes, I am going to be losing a few clients, but I know that, like I said, like I need to be making these steps if I want to keep growing. And then pretty much see where we're at after that. I might bring on another employee if we're really packed, and then really have that conversation with either Jacob where, if I still don't see him stepping up, then I'm going to bring someone else and be like, hey, you've been with me for X amount of years. You're still making little mistakes. If you don't tighten up, I am going to bring someone else that will be running his own crew, and then he'll just be with me. Obviously, he'll still be making good money, but but that's only if I want to keep growing. If I don't, I could just stick with me and Jacob, and then just keep doing what we're doing, and then that's it. Once we're full, and then that's it, and really just keep consolidating our route, and going for those quality clients. But like always, like, subscribe,